Coach, what are your thoughts on this year's draft class? Basically, what's the process of you evaluating this year's draft?
Yeah, so we'll just see. Today's the first day. It's good to have everyone here. Everyone signed. Give credit to Jim Overdorf, Kevin Begang for getting that done. So guys can just focus on playing football, learning the systems, getting down how we do things here, and I think that's really the emphasis this weekend is onboarding these young guys the right way so they can develop as quickly as possible.
Sean, is it at all a weird adjustment kind of going back to a traditional offseason? Because we haven't had this in a while.
Yeah, it's new. And, you kind of go back to your notes on how we did things in 2019 and what we liked, what we didn't like. And so our staff helps me a lot with those notes and what worked, what didn't work, and then how you want to improve things. And you go back and sometimes you forget even the staff wasn't here when we last did certain things, the way we do things this time of year when the players are around like they've been this year as opposed to the last couple. So it's been good. We've had good energy. I think good participation overall. Not 100% participation, but hopefully we're getting some of those guys back in the coming weeks here.
Sean, how interested are you in seeing Matt Araiza punt? See how that ball, finally get to see him up close, given what the reputation he comes in with.
Yeah, I think just like anyone, John, it's getting a feel for who they are as people, getting a feel for what they can do at this level. What's going to happen out there today is not at this level, but it is a start, and everyone needs a first step in the positive direction. So it's good to meet. It was good to meet Matt this morning and be around him a little bit just for a small instance and window of time, but. Again, it's just really onboarding these players the right way. Our development staff does a great job with that, and getting to know them, getting to know kind of their strengths and weaknesses along, in this case, with Matt.
I guess just in that sense, all of them have their unique talents, and you want to keep your eyes on them. But I think there's a lot of people looking forward to see just how this ball comes off his foot. You've seen it on tape. I guess just. The height that he enters, for a punter entering, a rookie camp. Just what your thoughts are about that, and just to see what he can do with the ball.
Yeah, well, he's here to punt the ball, right? So, yeah, it's just one day at a time. I appreciate where you're trying to go with it, John, and build these big expectations, and so we'll get a hot air balloon out there for him, and for the guy to catch it, that'll be the next trick, right? So we'll just one day at a time. He hasn't even punted yet at all, so let's just hope he gets out there and gets his shoes tied right, and which I'm sure he will, and he has a good first practice here.
Sean, is that your message to these guys? This is maybe the biggest opportunity for some of them, whether they're tryouts or undrafted guys, and expectations for those drafted. Is that the message to them? Is one day at a time, let's not try to win a roster spot or anything here in a day or two?
Yeah, I told him this morning, no one's going to make the team based off of this practice alone. So let's just get out there, know where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and put one foot in front of the other, and let's just crawl before we walk, and kind of get the boulders of what this system is supposed to look like and what their job is in the system.
Sean, what was your impressions of Kaiir in the pre-draft process and your evaluation of him?
Yeah, I was impressed with his approach. I know it's been out there with the combine and the notebook, and that's probably overblown a little bit, to be honest with you. But just the way he handled himself as a professional in that process around the combine and then his 30 visit, got to know him a little bit better. So I thought off the field, the way he handled himself was first class, and then the tape spoke for itself. Certainly can do things on the field there, and we think in our system, it'll be good, and he'll be able to play well in a mutually beneficial approach to press off, changing some things up, and he's got a great support system behind him.
Brandon has talked about guys who were picked in the first round. There's an expectation that they come in and at least compete for a starting job. I know you like to downplay expectations, especially for young players. And is your your answer earlier showed. So with Kaiir, how do you do that? Knowing that there's going to be a lot of expected of him.
Yeah, again, I think we've got a veteran team in terms of guys who have come in here before and earned their way, and that's no different with Kaiir. You've got to come in and just focus on what you can control, what's right in front of you every day, and then put one foot in front of the other so that you can become the best version of yourself. There's no preconceived expectations. That's for people outside of these walls, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, the best way to go about it is just focus on what you're here to do and your job and develop every day.
Curious,
Go ahead, Tom.
how do you, like, everybody comes in at different conditioning levels. You want them at a certain spot. Excuse me, sorry, like, you haven't seen them all this offseason, so you have to get with your group, your strength conditioning coaches. How do you massage that to make sure that you're not expecting maybe them to be at a certain spot but letting them get there?
Yeah, there's different levels to your point. I mean, it's a wide range of conditioning levels. And part of it, quite honestly, is because a lot of these players have been on the banquet circuit or pro day circuit, and they're not really working to get ready for football. And now we expect them to go out here and play football. So, we made it as a point as coaches to, after the draft was over, make sure that in the last 2 weeks these players are putting themselves through football drills, even the rest in between, kind of simulating a huddle, back out, going through another drill, another rep. So a lot of guys pull in camps because of that, and then they miss the entire spring. So, just being very open with you, one of the goals is to just get through the camp healthy so that we can really start to get the guys in our stream, in our current, our flow, get them more in shape and get them acclimated with the system, and they continue to grow from there.
The schedule came out yesterday, 5 primetime games, Thanksgiving again, Christmas Eve. This is a different roster than a couple of years ago. Has your message changed to rookies, knowing how much, how many big games you guys are playing on a national stage?
Yeah, I don't know. It's really taking it one game at a time, taking it one day at a time. What we've worked and the way we've worked to build this to where it's at, I think says a lot about the people in our building, says a lot about our players. And I'm happy for the fans that they have a chance to experience, that level of football. And it's been a while since they've been able to do that, since the early 90s, and we've built it to that. But I've been around it before, been at successful programs, and this is what you want. You want to field a team that can compete every year, that has a chance. And that's really all you can say this time of year. And that's really, I think, all any team can say. And so we got to put the work in. And as I mentioned a few weeks ago, there's a certain commitment level that comes with, and a certain focus and a certain dedication that comes with teams that are able to get to where we're trying to get to. And so that's what I'm looking forward to seeing if this team will do that and how it's going to come together at the end of the day.
That's gonna be my question, just how much more prepared might you think, it's early, but might you think this team be for these prime time games, for a season opener, for Sunday night football and Monday night football on numerous occasions? How much, having played in those games in the past 2 years?
Well, I think you start with Josh. Josh has been in those games, and as a leader of the team, the face of the franchise, he's been through that before, and the prep leading into those games. He's come out on the other end of those games, and a lot of those games in a winning manner, right? So, at the end of the day, there's no substitute for experience. And then as coaches, we've been through those, and so. But at the end of the day, you've got to go back to your process, and each team's different. Each game is different to some extent. So we're just going to take them one game at a time.
What does it mean to this franchise being picked to be featured in the opening game against the Super Bowl champs?
Yeah, I think it's great recognition. I really do. And again, like I mentioned before, it's great for selling T-shirts and hats and for our fan base, which have stuck with this organization for a long time. And I think there's great excitement around Western New York, around the city. I go get gas and people are excited, right? I'm out there pumping gas and people are excited about the team, which is great. But we know inside that we've got a lot of work to do. And if you don't prepare, you don't come together, you don't have the right amount of focus, you get your tails kicked.
17 players in for tryouts. You still have 5 or 6 spots on the 90-man roster. Was that intentional to maybe send a message to those guys that there are jobs potentially to be won here? It's not like, you got 89 guys on the roster and you only have room for one player.
Yeah, we were going to leave one spot open for John. I mean, I know he was petitioning early.
I can't punt. That job seems to be Mikey Tatus.
You can't. What position would you like, John?
Could be a tackle.
Long snapper.
What number? We'll get you a number and make sure you get. Oh, there are, Jay. There are spots open, and I think that's healthy right now. There's no rush in filling all those spots. I mean, we don't need Sean McDermott's out there trying to make this roster. I mean, we need better athletes than that, and so Brandon's taking his time and our personnel staff to find the right pieces. So it's the right number of guys as opposed to just having that max number right now. So we'll fill it when we feel like the time is right or the players that we're looking for show up, and it works out for both parties.
The Kaiir showing you guys his notebook and all that was maybe a little bit overblown, but what did stand out in the pre-draft process? Like, what did he do or what did he say that you were like, I see the fit, off the field and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I just think, again, as I mentioned earlier here, Elena, with the way he handled himself as in a professional manner, there's a contrast between what he did and the way he presented himself at the combine and on the 30 visit to maybe some other players and the way they handle it. You could just tell he's been well schooled with his prep for the draft. He's got great support from his dad who played and family members as well, additional family members who have played in the league. So, it's just some of that stood out just by the way he handled himself off the field.
A couple of years ago, when you guys went down to Carolina for the preseason, you guys practiced down there a few days. Is there any plan to do something like that, similar to that again, or just going to be down for?
Just go down to play. Yeah.
We got a chance to talk to Terrell Bernard a couple times. Really good, really bright young man. Were you able to kind of scout him and look at his tape before the draft? I'm sure you saw some of it. And where do you kind of see his fit and maybe the potential? I know it's early, but like long term for what he can do for you guys in the defense?
Yeah, what we saw in Terrell was a smart player that had made a lot of plays, very productive at the college level. I know his head coach very well. We have a relationship, and he also coached Tre'Davious White. Dave Aranda did at LSU. So he and I have a close relationship, and when he speaks, I listen, and I have a lot of trust in his opinion on a player. So that was a head start for us, and then you just turn the tape on and you see the production, you see the instincts, again, at the college level, and now we'll see how he does here.
Sean, Jerry Hughes time officially over here. Just your thoughts on what he meant as one of the few who's been with you your entire time here and obviously predating.
Yeah, very happy for Jerry, but also bittersweet for us when you see a player as tenured as Jerry was in this organization and the blood, sweat, and tears, commitment, dedication and sacrifice that his family made and he made as well. It's bittersweet, but you're happy that a player like that can finish his career on his terms and in his backyard. I don't know how close exactly that is to where he lives, but it's close to home, which I'm happy for him and his family, but we'll miss him.
Any update on Trey White, just where he is in his progress? And
yeah, he's working hard, and you guys, he comes in here every day. He's one of the first in, one of the last to leave. I mean, it's incredible to watch him. No? Still long snapper? Okay.
See quarterback out there, Braylon Smith. Can you tell us anything about him? I just looked him up. Well, he seems like he's a pretty big kid. That's so nice.
Yeah, I mean, we just had a walkthrough, Sal, so we'll see. And we can put you out there as well. You want corner? Is it?
No, not yet.
We got a couple spots open.
yeah.
Jay said so.
Sal's got to play football.
Is this also a good test run for Ken Dorsey to
Yeah.
this weekend to get his feet wet before the best?
Yeah, it is. We had a staff meeting the other day, and I told the coaches this is a chance for us to continue to practice coaching, right? And it sounds elementary, or elementary, I should say, but we've been on the field with the vets through the phases now in phase 2 for a couple opportunities there, but this is our first time in live full speed action, and we've got some new members to the staff, Ken being one of them. So this will be a first time for him going through this in his seat, but good experience too as well. And so I'm sure we'll all, Ken, myself, and the rest of the staff, get through this weekend and say, hey, this is what we can do better. And so when OTAs roll around with the vets, this is how we want to improve what we've done.